happy new month and welcome to The Advocate, the program that keeps you educated and informed on current events around you. I will be talking about how we are having another ENDSARS. Elijah Felix will be talking about 2023 elections, the fate of the nation. Amodu Inikpi Victoria will be talking about democracy in Nigeria currently. And Oludolapo Ojelabi will be talking about Nigerians, politics, and critical thinking. Today, you're going to expect interesting and hot topics that concerns all Nigerians, and we will be back after the break. Don't go away. Are we having another ENDSARS? Following the announcement of the president-elect by the INEC Chairman Mahmood Yakubu, there has been many agitations within the PDP camp and, of course, the OBIdients. Apparently, they are not satisfied with the announced president-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu. There has been lots of assertions that the elections was rigged in favor of APC. Following the streets of Twitter closely, OBIdients may just be planning another ENDSARS protest. Maybe this time, who knows, ENDRigging. I think I must really commend Peter Obi, who came into the scene as a third force and displayed so much resilience and grit. Unlike past elections, this was quite close and it creates a whole new dimension in Nigerian politics. I'm looking forward to Nigerians having more strong options in terms of candidate choice. Was the election really rigged? Well, that's a question I do not categorically have a verifiable answer to. But I do believe that as young people, we must get very tactical and strategic in our approach this time. You know what they say, lose the battle and win the war. If you think about it, Nigeria is winning already. We can see it from the outcome of the recently concluded 2023 presidential elections. We have a few months to the official swearing in, and I'm personally looking forward to see how the events will play out before then. Do we want to effect the rule of law and justice? Certainly yes, but we have to approach it with wisdom, intelligence, and a lot of diplomacy.
Wow, so much talked about general election has come. Presidential election,
yeah.
That's come and gone. We're still in the electoral season. We're still observing what's going on, not what will happen. But what I'm going to say is that a lot of Nigerians, majority of Nigerians, as well as international observers, are not very satisfied with the way INEC conducted this election. So we will expect a lot of disagreements, counter-suits and suits in court, which is quite unfortunate, thereby causing more unnecessary delivery of democracy. We should just hope that coming governments will do whatever it takes to make sure INEC will function effectively to avoid all these problems after elections. If it's to, some people are arguing that INEC is too big in terms of the work they have to do. Maybe they have to break INEC down into sub-teams, sub-groups, or sub-agencies that will manage the whole electoral process. And why some other persons are saying that INEC is not really big, they need more manpower and also more training and more monitoring and evaluation so that they can work. So the argument, whichever way it is, let's just prepare ourselves to explore all options. Or I mean politicians and citizens alike should prepare ourselves to explore options within the ambit of the law. But more importantly, no violence. Very true.
Let's come to the man in white before Inikpi. Dolapo, I'd like to particularly ask you something. Do you think that another ENDSARS is looming, given the presidential elections, outcome?
I can't really say. Things can go in any direction right now, but from all indications, the hot emotions of the last couple of days seem to have died down a bit. A lot of people are calling out for reason, and I think reason is going to hold sway. We can't expect to always apply violence, because one of the issues pointed out during the last election was violence. So if the response is now violence, then we're all in the same bucket. So I'm really hoping that everyone will be reasonable and take this as a learning, a journey of learning, so that we can take the errors, the mistakes, and improve on them. At least I would expect that the mistakes from last week will be corrected on this weekend. And then, you know, if we keep improving,
that's next weekend. Yeah.
next time. Is it next weekend?
Yeah, next
okay,
weekend.
Yeah, next weekend. Okay, so.
Inikpi, I want to put you on the spot. Yeah, 11th. I want to put Inikpi on the spot, right? And so it's going to be a very, you know, difficult question. Do you think that the elections were rigged?
So, from what we saw,
okay,
right? Because I know that you talked about the Twitter street,
yeah,
right? And we saw the videos, we saw pictures, we saw, you know, we saw people came out,
yeah,
the youth came out. We could see the emotion and then the actions towards this election. So was it rigged? I mean, we saw videos of ballot boxes being snatched. We even saw, there was a particular picture that I saw, right, where all the parties, you know, I don't know what they call that paper, where you have the party names and then you have the numbers, the record papers, right? And there was in front, just right, the LP's column, there was, so they tore another paper and then they added, you know, when you just tear a paper, you just use it to cover the numbers.
That's there before.
Yes, and so probably the numbers were much more. So they just added a very little number, like 10, and then they used it to cover those columns right in front of LP. I mean, that is obvious rigging, if you ask me. We saw a particular video where a man said that if you're not voting for this particular party, you don't come here, go home. So I mean, these were actions, or I don't want to call it tact or tactics, because to me it's not. These were obvious steps or actions, right, that still leads to rigging, or that still screams rigging if we don't say rigging. Do you understand? So yes, I feel so. I also feel there was this particular PDP agent came during, that was at Abuja, was it when on Sunday or Monday, either Monday or Tuesday, and he said that the votes that they have, or the results they have, right, were different from what was being quoted. I don't know. So we can see pictures, we can see videos,
a lot of
evidences,
yes, and so if you ask me, based on what we saw, yes.
That's some huge one for Mahmood. But you know, just picking back on what Oludolapo said, I think it's also very important that as much as you know, I mean, we're all young people, and I stand with the youth, right? Not particularly any party, but I stand with the youth, and I stand with Nigeria. Nigeria has to win. It's also very important that we approach these, you know, very elections. It's close, right? And I was speaking with a friend. What I believe is that winning goes from 0 to 1 and then 1 to 2. I mean, I don't think in the history of my witnessing elections I've seen a third force really, you know, give that so much strong fight, right? When you look at, you know, 2003 elections, you look at 2007, you look at 2011, you see, you know, during Obasanjo's regime, he won by 24 million votes. That's a lot. Like one man getting 24 million votes, you know, and then you see Buhari winning with about 15 million votes. And now, how many votes did the APC win? Maybe like 8 million, you know, so, and then PDP having 6 million, LP 6 million. So that tells you that there's a shift, right? So I believe that you know, calling for another protest, destroying things to get our voices heard, again, is one way to look at it. But do we want to go that route?
No.
Right? We also want to explore, you know, maybe going to court, maybe following like due process. I just think that people shouldn't boycott. People shouldn't start another, you know, placards. And we saw a lot of things that happened at the Lekki toll gate. We don't want to go back to that, you know. But again, like I said, I'm just looking forward to May 29 and the activities leading between now and May 29. There had been some very, very strong words, and I'm not going to say it strong. There's been some very strong words, and I'm looking forward to what will happen, you know, just before the official swearing in. And I do hope that young people, you know, really should apply a lot of wisdom, a lot of tact, you know, with pursuing this whole thing. We are eventually going to win, you know, as Nigeria. All right, Elijah, Felix is next after the break. Don't go away.